I'm Amanda Ohlke, Director of Adult Education at the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. We are so pleased to offer this advanced screening of Red Notice and a special bonus conversation with the movie's director, Rawson Marshall Thurber.
Hi.
Hi, Rawson, and my wonderful colleague, Spy Museum historian curator, Dr. Andrew Hammond. We got some spy questions queued up for you, Rawson. Over to you. Over to you, Andrew.
Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you, Rawson. I watched your movie, and one of the things that struck me. So at the Spy Museum, we love spy history, but we also love spy popular culture. So from being a Bond geek, I know that James Bond is half Swiss, and I know that Ryan Reynolds' character Nolan Booth is half Swiss. And I don't know if anyone's asked you this before, but are there any connections?
Nobody has asked me that before because nobody knew it. Knew to ask. So I'm so happy you did. Yes, of course. I'm a Bond fan, and that was so funny. Nobody's picked that up, Andrew. So you're a pretty good spy. So
there is a link.
Of course, yes. No,
yeah,
that was
wow,
awesome.
Sorry,
I'm so sorry. Yes, that was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to kind of. I mean, it's such a small little thread, but just to kind of tip your cap slightly to the greatest of all time, of course.
Well, also playing off of that, your use of location and music evokes a lot of things, but we're focusing on spy movies. So, are there any that inspired you the most when you were creating Red Notice?
Oh, well, I think, the spy genre is rich and wonderful. I think when you look at Jean Le Carré stuff, those are wonderful pieces, and they're so intricate. But Red Notice is not Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, right? It's much more Bond. It's much more Mission Impossible. It's much more True Lies. It's a little more popular and fun and entertaining than sort of hard charging. So for me, there were a lot of things that went into Red Notice. Certainly Raiders of the Lost Ark, National Treasure, Thomas Crown Affair, both the first two, and heist films, like Ocean's 11. So there's a lot of those films mixed into it, but the spy genre is something I really love. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I love the Spy Museum. I've been there. My wife and I went there when we were first started dating. I went obviously through the entire museum. We took the tour with the little where we solved the puzzles all the way through. So I'm a huge fan. Yeah. Oh, that was you? That's your voice? Amanda, that's great.
I wrote that. Anyway, over to you, Andrew.
It was such a pleasure. Anyways, and then I'm also working on some new spy stuff. I'm developing Spy versus Spy for Warner Brothers. So maybe I can come back and talk with you guys then. That'll be much more spy centric.
That would be great. And we're in a big new purpose-built building that just opened in 2019. So we've got much more stuff on display, much more exhibits. So please come and let us know when you want to come.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing that I was going to ask was, the world of espionage and intelligence is being upended by technology. And those are things that feature in the movie. So I just wondered, I know that you're the screenwriter as well as the director. What research did you do for facial recognition, surveillance cameras, biometrics? I found that quite interesting.
Oh, thank you. Well, there's a little bit that I've been doing, especially I've been really interested in deepfake technology, especially, and how sort of terrifying that is. But you're right. The use of technology as it relates to espionage is incredibly powerful and only getting more so every single day, especially because almost every person on the planet carries a tracking device in their pocket that can record them at any time. So I've always been a sucker for sort of spy tech stuff, and I personally find it interesting when you try to create an impenetrable system, right? A biometric, portal that has, facial recognition, voice recognition, a thumbprint, a code that changes every 6 minutes. And that's part of the fun of any heist, essentially, is how do you build this mousetrap so it seems like you could never do it. And then how do you figure out to do it, right? So you sort of paint yourself into a corner as a storyteller, and then you have to be smart enough to get yourself out.
Okay, Rawson. So you and your wife visited the museum. Did you visit when we had hang time, where you were challenged to see how long you can hang from a helicopter skid? And so I was very drawn to the helicopter escape that happens. Can you tell us a little bit about filming that, or the inspiration for filming that particular? There are a lot of great escapes in the movie.
Sure. Sadly, we never got to do hang time, but I'd love to come back and try my hand at it. The helicopter escape it was something I thought of pretty early. I thought it would be really fun to shoot a missile at a helicopter and figure out how to get out of that, like Andrew, like we were talking about earlier. So now what, right? There's a missile pointed straight at the helicopter. How do you avoid it? And I'd never seen it before. I'd never seen it come in one barn door and out the other. And it made me laugh. And I was like, I wouldn't see that coming, and let me try it. And that's what's so fun about writing and directing movies, especially the kind of movies I make, which are movies for people who love movies, and big fun global entertainment pieces. So I try to make myself laugh or myself applaud at the keyboard, and I do my best to execute those ideas.
You made me laugh a number of times, so thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that.
And one of the other things that I was thinking about as well when I watched it was there's some other really interesting links to intelligence and espionage in the script and in the movie. So they talk about you've read too many spy novels. Yeah. So there's obviously all those links going on there. So I just wondered if you had a favorite spy novel and any of the other influences that fed into the script.
Well, I mean, I think the Spy Who Came In From the Cold is pretty darn good one if you're going to pick one. Tinker Tailor, of course. So those are two that I would put up with anybody.
A favorite spy novel?
Oh. Yeah, I would say Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Probably my favorite. I know that's a boring answer, but my favorite.
No, that's a lot of people's favorite. Okay, so Rawson, there's a very particular piece of top secret Army intelligence stored away in that Nazi cache. And I'm wondering if you want to speak about that and tell me, did you actually make the movie just so you could do that?
Well, good eye, Amanda. And yeah, I think in some sense I may have. There's a little bit of an Easter egg there when our heroes enter the lost Nazi bunker. And of course, it doesn't make any sense from a timeline perspective, but from a film lover's perspective, I couldn't resist sort of putting in a very specific stencil on a box.
I kept freeze framing to make sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing, and we're not spoiling it here, but I was delighted when I was able to confirm it was what I thought.
Thank you for noticing.
And I was wondering as well, so I know that you directed Central Intelligence, and then we've got Red Notice, and you mentioned Spy v Spy. So I was just wondering if you see any other spy projects down the pipeline. And we've had Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, we've had Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson, and do you have a new partner in mind for Dwayne for a future movie?
Yeah, who's in Spy versus Spy? Can you tell us?
That's a great question. No, we don't have anybody yet, but I have a couple people on my short list. I think Spy versus Spy is going to be a really fresh, fun pairing that I don't think a lot of people are going to expect. So I'm very, very excited about that. In terms of next movies, I'm basically exhausted from making this movie, so I mostly just want to take a nap. But I think that who knows? There could be another Red Notice in the future. The next movie I'm hoping to make is called The Division, which is based on the Tom Clancy Ubisoft game, a video game that I know and love and play. And that stars Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, and I hope it's my next film.
Oh, great. I really enjoyed who came up with the idea about what the guard was looking at on his social media at the prison. I loved that. If you want to mention a little bit about that.
Amanda, thank you. Some of these questions I haven't gotten in the last 2 days, so it's really nice. So thank you for paying such close attention to the film and asking such refreshing questions. So the Russian guard who's distracted by his phone and liking very specific Instagram pictures, that was me. I found it really made me laugh, and it's a fun laugh in the theater. Of course, I was a little nervous. I don't want Putin to come calling, but I was like, yes, he's probably got a sense of humor, right?
Well, they're good photos.
Yeah, they are, right? They are.
And one of the other things I was wondering was, I know that this is the most expensive movie that Netflix have had, and I'm just thinking to myself, gee, that sounds like a lot of pressure. That sounds like one of those things where I would wake up at 3 a.m, like worrying about things. Or tell me, is that a lot of kind of weight to carry around with you?
In some sense it is, of course. But what for me at least, and I think for a lot of filmmakers, whether it's a $1 million movie or $100 million movie, it's all the same. You're trying to tell a great story. You're trying to make a great movie, and the people who are putting the money up for that movie are expecting results, and it doesn't matter what level. Every time you step up to the plate, you're 0 for 0, and people want to hit. So I think I would wake up at 3 a.m. even if it was a $1 million movie. But you're right. You definitely wake up at 3 a.m., Andrew, and you're staring at the ceiling, and you definitely want to make the best movie you possibly can make. And I worked very, very hard on this one.
I want to ask you, obviously all of these go back to the spy world for us. The poor intelligence analyst. Tell us a little bit about coming up with that scene, and who is he an analyst for? And boy, does he have bad security.
Yeah, right. To me, I thought the scene was a funny idea. We could get a little backstory on Gal's character, and sort of trick the audience into thinking it was one thing when in fact she was just sharing with someone while she was hacking into the system from within the intranet, as opposed to from trying to hack in from outside. And I thought that was kind of fun, that most tracking software follows third-party movements, and they never expect the call to come from inside the house, as it were. I thought it was a clever way of doing it. And the actor who plays our poor analyst was just fantastic, and really made that scene work.
His moment where he thinks he's almost gonna get a kiss from the fabulous Gal Gadot is.
Yeah. You can't blame him. You can't blame him.
Oh, she's so wonderful.
And as a kid, I learned a lot about the world just from watching Bond movies. It's in Jamaica, it's in Russia, it's in North Korea. Is there a particular Bond scene that has been particularly influential in your career? Like an action scene, or it's a setting or a location or something?
I don't know if there's any particular scene, but we certainly were influenced by Bond. The sort of the global heist, the global traveling, right? We tried to hopscotch around the world as best we could, considering the limitations we were under. But I grew up with Roger Moore Bond. I know Sean Connery is the all-time, with Daniel Craig maybe tied for one or a close second. But I grew up Roger Moore Bond, which is a little more campy Bond, but I loved it all the same. And certainly at the end of the film, when we're on the yacht and Dwayne comes out of the water and Gal comes out of the water, that is, an obvious tip of the cap to Bond. So in terms of the James Bond films, the last few I think have been fantastic. Spectre, of course, Shadowfall, Shadowfall, right?
Skyfall.
Skyfall. I'm so sorry. Jeez, I'm a little tired, guys. So Spectre, Spectre and Skyfall. Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins just at the height of their power. And I thought No Time to Die was fantastic. I didn't think there could be a Bond film that rivaled the Deakins and Mendes work in terms of photographically, but Cary Fukunaga and his cinematographer more than matched the call. And No Time to Die was I think the first time in a long time, as much as I love the Bond franchise and enjoy it, it's one of the, I think maybe the only time in a Bond movie that I actually felt something.
I was crying and my fiance was saying, it's okay. So we won't spoil it in case anybody's, I'm like, it is not okay. Yeah. I was reminded, and tell me, I have never seen a chase on a scaffolding before. And I'm sorry, Andrew, but as museum people, how upset were we about the artifacts that were getting broken? But that was such an interesting choreography. I did think about the parkour scene at the start of Casino Royale in relationship to that, but like, how did you come up with that trapeze-like scaffolding adventure?
Well, certainly Casino Royale, that opening was not lost on me. And there's a lot of great sort of scaffolding stuff from Jackie Chan films in the Hong Kong Louvre. So those are both at the forefront of our mind. Ryan and I wanted to do something that that almost Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd could have done, in terms of the scaffolding piece, where Ryan's character, Nolan Booth, never throws a punch, and he just sort of uses his wits and his guile to kind of run circles around these Keystone Cops, to mix all of my metaphors. So what had happened was, we'd planned on a big car chase through Rome, and the global pandemic struck, and we couldn't go to Rome. We couldn't shoot anywhere. So I had to rewrite the entire opening of the film. And I wrote a foot chase into the museum in place of the car chase. And I thought it would be fun if Ryan went down a hallway where the whole museum was shut down for repair. That way we wouldn't have to have a lot of people with COVID, and it would just be Ryan and Dwayne and maybe a few cops. And that's kind of how it started. And I really love the sequence. I think it's a fun way to kick things off. I've never really seen it done the way we did it. And I think it turned out great.
Well, I'm seeing that our time is running out, but I want to thank you so much for talking to us for making this movie. Andrew and I want you to come to the museum, but you are not allowed to. You can't steal anything. You can't knock anything over.
Make no promises. I make no promises, Amanda. Andrew, thank you. I really appreciate your questions, you guys. And I can't wait to come see the new museum. It sounds unbelievable. So next time I'm in town, I'll reach out.
Yes, please come. We, in a different way, we try to tell stories too. So I think there's a lot of crossover.
I can't wait, man. I hope that we get to meet each other in person.
Thank you. And
thank you.
Good
Rawson.
luck. I don't think you need it, but good luck with the movie.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate your time and your smart questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.